Hey, thank you for coming to my show. I think you'll hear something today that makes you click that like button, share with your people, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Let's stay connected. Tell me what you think in the
Who are
comments.
you?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're starting. Okay. Um, I'm well. There's a lot. I'm a lot of things. I'm obviously a Black woman. I was a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. I'm an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman. I'm an Evanston and Northwestern graduate, so I'm a Kit Kat. Um, I, I like to dabble in all kinds of stuff. I'm a world traveler. Um, I'm deeply committed, interested in certainly Black kids doing well and Black women. I'm also one of the biggest fans of Black men ever. I'm never going to bash Black men. So that's some of who I am. That's a lot of who I
That is a lot of who you are.
am.
And that's fair. That's fair. Who are your role models who inspire your work?
um, Well, I had a educational role model, and her name is Dr. Dorothy Majette. And when I was at the high school, she started as a counselor, and then she became human resources. But I and and but I really resonated with her. I had graduated a quarter. Northwestern is on quarter, so I graduated a quarter before. And she hired me to do research on my particular graduating class and what had happened to all the Black kids and then correlating it to their class rank. It was fascinating. And of course, I knew all the kids. So I was just in awe of her. And ultimately, she got me the job at Evanston Township High School. Another role model would be my mother. You know, obviously, you never really appreciate your parents until you get older because what did they know when you were a teenager? But, my mom was hard worker, uh, churchgoer, cook, very low key and gentle, but got stuff done. And, I watched her work and learned how to work, learned how to get stuff done without having to always be in charge. You can be the worker bee, you could be the boss. She went from working in a Bramson's, which was a exclusive retail store at that time, working where the cashiers were, to becoming the first African American woman to be a manager on Michigan Avenue without a college degree. And then she went back to school when I was in high school, got her BA, and eventually started working at EPHS as a teacher's assistant in special ed. Those two people, are just my first go-to. Obviously, there have been a lot of other women that I have learned from, but I'm going to give them the most credit.
Yeah, yeah. Learn by example. Share a success story about how your efforts made a tangible difference in someone's life.
Oh, wow. Whew. Hey, I'm going to start with the most obvious, my daughter.
Ooh, there it is. There it is.
That's the most obvious, going from my daughter to councilwoman of Evanston. Listen, that's a success story because Chrissy was a mess. You heard her on her interview, but has all the right potential. That's a great personal success story. There have been, I want to say so many, but little things when you talk about students at the high school, maybe giving them a break, that just that time let them go a little further. Hooking up someone over here with with information, working with the sorority, we can do this because of this information that I know, just because I live here. So I've got a million success stories, but they all revolve around, I think, little things, just trying to pay attention to what's going on and how I can make connections. That, I think, is one of my greatest strengths. So, but I'll lead off with my daughter.
Well, let's go there, because she mentioned growing up, you were her principal at Evanston Township High School, and it was difficult for her. But at the same time, she noticed and she watched how you moved and what you did. And she said you were one of the first women that she saw that she could actually, talk to with an afro.
Oh, yeah.
How did that relate to students at your time as being a principal?
Well, I believe that being of the community is always helpful. So the fact that I grew up in Evanston, went to all the public schools, did all the stuff, Black kids did in Evanston, to some degree, was extremely helpful to me because, well, for one, you can't, throw the black card. You can't throw the race card at me. You never, so you couldn't, as a parent or as a kid, throw that card. Okay, so the little joker's gone. You can't do it. The big joker was the potential bravado and negativity that comes when there's difficult situations to navigate. Well, we could throw that out because I either knew you, I knew your grandparents, I knew your brother, all of that kind of stuff I used to my advantage, I hope, and not to bully people. Because establishing some kind of rapport, respect, and trust is the basis of getting anything done. And so I think that helped me. That really helped me because we didn't have to go through all that. We really didn't have to go through that. I know what's happening, but we're really here to work it out. It might not always be in your favor, but I'm going to be fair to you. So I tried to always do that as, Black, and also constantly throw in the Black perspective as we as a team, as a school, as a board, as teachers, to talk about how can we do what's best for kids. So that was always my approach, but it was always from my experience being Black.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What unique perspective do you bring to your work due to your identity as a Black woman?
Kind of my confidence. I think that being Black and a woman is an awesome, not only responsibility, but kind of a gift. And I want to treat it as such. I don't want to be doubtful of what I can't do. But be respectful that I'm not going to be able to do everything or do everything well or the best. But I don't want to doubt myself. I want to be able to bring what I've got to the table, and then let's work with that. So you know, to me, that's unique. I think Black women need to just be more confident about themselves and that they can fit anywhere. We can be anywhere and do anything, and then go in that room exuding that. Just, okay, I'm bad, but,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to say it boastfully. I'm proud to be a Black woman. So that's confidence, and that's what I try to take. That's, I think, what's unique.
Yeah. My current guest, or my current episode, is running right now, and my guest, she said, her answer to this question was kind of similar to the one I asked her. And she said, I don't fear walking into any room. There's no room I walk into that I fear,
Exactly.
and you said exactly the same thing. And it's, you're right. It's powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are some critical needs you see within the Black community that women are uniquely positioned to address?
Okay. Critical needs in the community. I'm going to focus more on education and young people than, city government and that kind of stuff. But I think it all comes together. Are just more empathetic in general. That doesn't mean men don't care, but it's shown more. And I think we have to be more cognizant of what's going on with young people. I think we have to spend more time with them. I think we have to create more opportunities for them to see successful Black women that they know that are still just regular, that work, that get tired, that have children, that are mixing all these things. They have to have examples of that and be able to discuss freely things that kids, especially young girls, usually don't talk about with their mothers, but they might talk about with the auntie, or in a group with other students and other like-minded people. So I think as women, we've got to figure out how we can constantly model on a micro and a macro level to not only young girls, but to guys too, empathy and caring for others, because that spreads through everything you do. And I don't think I don't see enough of that happening, just because of the times. We just have to do more and more of it, and really kind of think about it as we make groups and as we showcase things. How do we get younger people involved? How do we get the college students looking at things or experiencing things that they might not normally have? So I think that's a challenge, but I think it's the empathy that needs to be shown, but also, we're not victims, but we're also not angry Black women, to male or females. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. As a Black woman, what is your greatest superpower?
I'm going to say networking. I can network the hell out of stuff. I can pull all kinds of stuff together and introduce. I don't have to be in the middle of it. I can, I'm like the person who starts the race and then hands the baton off, and then I'm through. I think that's, my strength.
Yeah. That's a good strength to have.
Helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
It's helpful. Because if you want to be helpful, you got to know stuff. You got to know what's going on, and no one person can do it, and there's so many people who are doing great things. So how do you get them together so that they can move on and do what they want to do? They have the resources, the same belief system, but you got all of that has to connect. So how does that happen? So we all have to be about doing that. There's kind of the stereotype of, especially for Black people, the crabs in the barrel. But the opposite of that is you're reaching down, pulling up, or to the side. You don't always have to, it's not always everybody's downtrodden, but you're always uplifting. So that's what I try to do.
Yeah. What are some innovative projects or initiatives led by Black women that inspire you?
Well, I think all of what the D9 sororities does, we're always saying we're in competition. We're not in competition. We're all doing service. We're all trying to fill in the gaps. We're all trying to do the network. So I'm always really, really proud of what the other sororities, my sorority and all the other sororities, are doing to work at all the things I was just talking about. So D9 for sure. I also, let's see, you say women's groups? Ask me that one more time.
What are some innovative projects or initiatives led by Black women that inspire you?
Okay. I think that a lot of the things that the YW is doing for women, with doing STEM projects, obviously the domestic abuse information, and building a residence for women and buying one for women to escape that. They also have the Why Women event where they showcase women from, the RYW Service Awards, again, showing and appreciating what women are doing. I think that's awesome. I mean, at the last one, we did Robin Ruth Simmons and Tasha Wilson. A lot of people just in general, don't realize what they're doing in our community. And these are homegrown. So again, it's feeding all my needs. It's my community, my people. I knew them in school. I think YW does, I think is really important. Those would be kind of the things that between the sororities and the YW in this community are kind of the things that I'm most interested in what's going on.
Yeah, I had Robin on the live show earlier.
Okay.
Later last year, I should say, and Tasha's currently running now. And when I started this whole project, those were two women that I wanted to get, and it's funny because it took me a little while to get both of them, but they were well worth it. They were well worth it because, like you said, they're doing a lot in the community that people aren't aware of. And the Auks. I'm excited about the Auks that Tasha and
Yeah.
Jackie and
Yes.
Tiffany are involved with. So it'll be very interesting to see how people respond, because I hope they respond in a positive way, because it is going to be a very positive project that's going to benefit all of Evanston, not just certain wards.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How can we better support and amplify the voices of Black women leaders and change makers, i.e., one of your sorors?
Huh. Who is we when you say how can we better?
The Black community.
Okay. Hmm. Well, again, I think we have to look at first identifying potential. And you don't identify potential at 35. You identify potential at fourth grade. Um, Chrissy and I are leaders of AAYAA, the African American Youth Achievement Awards, 27 years old, but that Dolores and Mary Wilkerson started to honor kids who are in the school districts who are doing great, 2 from each grade level. You start at grade 4 to high school. And it's amazing watching these kids over the years where they are now. If they were in 3rd grade, what are they doing in high school? So we've got to identify and nurture those that are coming up. That's really got to start happening in school, in churches, in other groups that they might be a part of, whether they have talents in dance, singing, and all. So we have to identify it and nurture it all along, because again, the modeling is what makes people better. It educates people. It gets them in touch with themselves. I'm watching her do this and that. I'm wondering why. Once I understand why, it also helps me think about how would I have handled that? How would I have done that? So we've got to be paying attention, and everybody has to be paying attention to the kid that has the potential, the young adult who's showing great promise. And then you also have to look at the ones that you see something there, but there's no spark yet, because nobody has really said something enough to them to say, oh, it's possible for me too. There's always shining stars. They need attention too. They need attention. But you also have some that you're looking at like, you've got something to offer. So we've always got to balance just looking at not just the high flyers, but everybody else that's there that we're going to need to make our society work. And I think that's incumbent on all of us. For instance, I'll see young ladies, little girls who are dressed up to go somewhere. They're somewhere, they're all dressed up like they're going on Easter. I don't know these little girls from a whole, I don't know them. But I always go to them and say, you know what, you're really beautiful. And they kind of look and thank you. That's the kind of stuff we have to do. We have to acknowledge young men who, are just being appropriate, are, at the right place at the right time. So I just think we have to keeping our eyes on people and encouraging them, mentoring them, modeling for them, and, you know, passing them along and saying to the next group that's going to handle them, pay attention to them. Because we have a lot of underserved resources in people because, you know, they just kind of weren't noticed.
Yeah, yeah. It's a, I like that answer. It's a very, very delicate balance of who gets more water and who gets more sun, because you know how that flower is going to grow and in which direction it will grow, and
Right.
it's that beautiful balance between the two. Yeah, yeah. What resources do you wish were more readily available to Black women who want to make a difference?
The opportunity to finance their dreams. The AUX is one. You know, that's a prime example. Here's a dream. How do you finance it? Eye candy. Candy Corbin's dream of getting young women interested in hair. Not only being able to do their own hair so they can go to school feeling beautiful, you know, not like their hair is a hot mess and, you know, they don't have control over that, but also into the hair industry. Very lucrative, very lucrative. You can always work. You know, so I think we really need to be looking at trying to do much more in the entrepreneurial section of things also. College, of course, scholarships, of course. And almost anything needs some kind of knowledge and training, you know. But I think we need to have more financing and funds and opportunity for people to just try their dreams. Evanston Community Foundation certainly does that, you know, through their Root to Fruit and their annual contributions to groups, but there needs to be more.
Yeah, yeah. How can men in the Black community be better allies and partners in the work of uplifting and empowering Black women?
Yikes. I think in most ways they do a great job. You know, I said at the beginning, I don't bash men.
Yeah, yeah.
You
You
know,
can
I
tell us how
think
we can improve. You're not bashing us by telling us how we can improve.
again, you know, it's just being, it's giving women the opportunity to be who they are and respect who they are and support who they are. Now that, you know, comes in many different ways, and all of us need that in very different ways. But, you know, Black men just need to be there for us, need to encourage us. And as we do the same thing, there needs to be the balance, because the more supportive they are of us, we have to be of them. You know, it's a back and forth. I just, you know, can't discount us, can't, you know, do the old school, you know, I'm the man and what I say goes. But we also can't say, and I think this happens a lot, I don't need a man. I can do it. I can do whatever I want without a man. And the only man that I want has to make at least 100K and da 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 da. So, you know, we have to let a man be a man too. And that comes a whole lot of ways. So I just think men have to be respectful and understand where women might be coming from, especially in relation to their jobs and how much that might require them, or their dreams. And then, be helpful at home. The woman doesn't only have to cook or clean, but I just, just be realistic about how everyone flourishes. You don't flourish under negativity, being domineered, not receiving understanding. What's good for you is good for me. What makes you feel good is good for me, unless you're a narcissist. If you're mentally ill, it's a whole different thing. But I mean, just, be good to me, I'm going to be good to you. And we're going to both rise.
Yeah. My aunt used to always say, what's good for the geese is good for the gander.
Yeah. I mean, it's common sense.
Yeah. That's so true. How do you manage the emotional labor and challenges that come with serving your community?
Well, I a long time ago stopped second guessing myself. I realized that the position I was in, whether it was the classroom, I mean, this happens in the classroom or anywhere else, I have to be able to handle the situation and handle myself, because the situation can make yourself get out of control too. You can just, so I decided that I needed to stop, or I don't even know if I did, second guessing myself and do what I thought was best at that moment. Sometimes it wasn't. And I, had to backpedal, or, I had to correct that mistake. Said it was a mistake first and then corrected it. But I didn't want to belabor things, and there were too many things coming all the time. That happens in life. There's something coming all the time. You've got to make decisions and move and keep moving and keep doing things and keep trying to help and support. And that's really what I had to do. And I might fuss about things and complain about things and how come they're doing it like that. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm certainly not going to distract from what people are going to do.
Yeah.
Be the biggest cheerleader, step out your way, and I'm going to make decisions, and I'm going to make my decisions. And it has worked for me. I can't worry about what do people think. I got to worry about what do I think? What do I think about what I just did? Did I like that, what I just did that? Or am I ashamed of it? Or I'm embarrassed about it? Or did I do something that hurt somebody? I need to be working on that kind of stuff. And, it's just, again, it just comes with working in a situation where you're always on and it's always different people. ETHS did a lot for me. I loved ETHS. I loved all of the drama, all of the confusion, all of the highlights. It was never a dull day. And so it allowed me to be able to every day come prepared for what's happening next, and I have no idea what it is. But I enjoyed that challenge, and I always have enjoyed it. But I couldn't do it by second guessing myself.
Yeah, and I would imagine that that's a very difficult job because every day is something new. Not only is it something new, but you can't show weakness. You can show fairness, but you can't show weakness.
Absolutely, because you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision. There's no, well, if you don't, that becomes a problem too. That if you just kind of let it go, and that's like training your child. If you don't train them, it's going to be a problem later. So it but it was a wonderful challenge. I love the interaction with the community, and I had to interact with all kinds of every kind of person in the community I dealt with, and it made me a better person, much better person.
Yeah.
I hope it did this way. It did to me. It did to me. It made me feel, it's like, again, this is all the experience I'm getting. Okay, how do you do this? What do I do? And of course, I went to people all the time. And I want to give him his kudos. One of the people that I went to all the time, when I just kind of felt, oh my God, was Bill Logan as chief of safety.
Mm-hmm.
I would go in Bill's office and close the door and say, oh my God, what am I going to do? What should I do? We would sometimes, and he would sometimes come to me, and we would just kind of laugh. But, you needed somebody to just kind of go, oh my gosh, who you also felt had the same empathy for the community. Again, he went to ETHS, he broke barriers, all the things he did in the community, well respected. Listen, I leaned on Bill Logan's experience and advice. So
I'm starting a Black Dads podcast as well, and I'm hoping to get him and his son on. I'm an assistant coach in FAM. There would be no FAM without Bill Logan and his partner that started FAM a while ago. So their names ring out loud and strong here in Evanston. Definitely.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law wouldn't have been a coach for as long as he'd been a coach. He's still a coach today. And, Bill saw him. He's like, hey, you like playing basketball, don't you? You like basketball. I said, I got something for you. Come on over, meet me at Fleetwood, and it's ironic because my father-in-law did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
So you only asked me about women. I had to sneak the one man in there.
Yeah, well, that's deservedly so, though. Deservedly so. What are your hopes and dreams for the future of the Black community, and how do you see yourself as a part of shaping that future?
I hope that, again, I'm always going to go to kids, that all kids feel valued, because if they feel valued, that turns the tide in your community. So, that value spreads over everything. You're not going to have fighting amongst each other over senseless stuff. You're going to have less crime because, you're not going to knock the old lady in her head on the block. You're not going to necessarily, the reduction of that, drugs in your community. You're not going to do those things because you value the things in your community, which also means you want to keep them that way, but always want to improve them. We've got to figure out how to give kids more and more value. We've got to work on making sure we've got kids caught up to where they're supposed to be. I mean, we understand that at third grade it breaks off and then, stuff happens. But if you can't read well at third grade, that's what we've got to work on that.
Yeah.
But that means you have to go to school if we've got to go to school 6 days a week to help you get to where you need to be. We all learn differently. We all learn at different speeds. Then that's what we need to do. We can't continue to let kids go to high school who don't read or can't, don't read. I had kids who did not read. But we've got to make up for those deficits, whatever that takes. We've got to expose more kids to more things who wouldn't normally be exposed to them. Field trips, just opportunities. Kids get exposed to things that, would have never happened in their lives. And then they're really turned on all this STEM stuff, but in their minds and in our minds, well, they're not good students. So science and math is beyond them. Exposing them to other kinds of sports and just more exposure, swimming, golf, stuff that, everybody can't play basketball, but okay. But we've just got to keep going where the needs are. It's difficult because it takes more work, takes more time, takes more money. The high flyers, but we don't want to ignore them either. But we got to keep going down to where they need more and do more that becomes fruitful. We've got to figure out what are the things that are really going to make kids feel that they are valued and worthy and able. That's what we got to do. I'm not quite, I have, a very few suggestions, but to me, that's what we have to do. How will I, do it? I don't know, espouse ideas that people say, she's just old and we don't do it that way anymore. But again, can we network? Can I maybe hook this up with that? And I'm, just going to keep on using resources in my community to do other resources, to help other resources. So, I don't ever know how that comes, but it comes, and then I do it. We have our family has a fund with the Evanston Community Foundation, and we were the first Black family to have a fund. Thankfully, 17 years later, we're not the only, but it was for a long time. And again, honor men. We honor our my husband, and father and grandfather, but we give donations to small, independent organizations that our focus is African-American men that do something for African-American men, senior citizens, and children. So we've given to eye candy. We've given to grandmothers raising grandchildren. We did Black Boy Scouts. We've done mental health for Black men. So we've done a group that was young fathers. So that's another way that we're trying to, it's seed money, but it's something that at least, again, your dream, you need some, you just need some money to start it. All right, we're going to help you do that. So that's another thing that we do we do it as a family.
And is that under your family's name, that fund?
Yeah, it's the Joe Butch Martin Fund.
Okay.
Under the Evanston Community Foundation. So it's a donor advised fund, which means the money that is in the fund, we determine where it goes. It doesn't go into a big pot.
Right. Right. The Joe Butch Martin Foundation or Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
And
he's a
we have
man of my
one.
own heart. He's a man of my own heart already. His nickname is Butch, or his
Yeah.
name is Butch.
Yeah. We have one fundraiser in September around his birthday at the high school. It's open to anyone, but obviously we send out invitations because you got to invite somebody, but anybody can come. And then we honor usually one or two groups, and then we honor two men of the community who we think are overlooked but extremely generous to the community. So, for instance, 2 years ago, we did the two undertakers. They do a lot for our community.
Say less. Say less. And
But who
they've
thinks
been there for
about them as
decades.
being,
Yeah, and
we
they've been
call
there
them,
for decades. I mean,
we call them real men.
Yeah.
So we've done them. I usually don't pick highly esteemed men in the community, but we did do two. One, Judge Jean-Paul, Lionel.
Yeah.
And we did Hecky.
Yeah.
Normally they wouldn't fall in our purview because we're really trying to look for the ones that you don't know.
Yeah.
But I knew them way before they became what they were.
Yeah.
I knew Lionel when he moved here. And Hecky, of course, we were all in school together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They
came a mighty long way.
Yeah. And you had a front row view.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've done John Phillips, who was at the high school. We've done all kinds of people. We honored our brother-in-laws, George Dotson and John Fuller. We're proud that we have family members and my own son who have done stuff, but again, kind of low.
Yeah. I grew up with George, so I know George very well. He watched me as a young kid grow up, so I know him very well. That's a beautiful thing because I feel like a lot of the work that Black men do gets overlooked, and underappreciated because a lot of times you hear, oh, Black men don't do things for their community, or Black dads aren't real, or Black dads are missing from their kids' life. And I don't think that's true. I think a lot of times, people just don't associate us with being a father, being a husband, being a dad. So, I think that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. So, I try to talk the talk and walk the walk. So if I can do something, let's do something. Okay. We're not Bill Gates, Buffett, but okay.
Yeah. It's interesting. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It really doesn't, because Chrissy said the exact same thing, but in different words. Don't come to me with complaints. Come to me with solutions so that we can sit around the table and see what works best and go forward with that.
Right. And you're not winning everything every time.
Yeah.
But we can get a lot more accomplished that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. What does liberation look like for Black women?
Respect, equality. And when I talk about equality, I'm talking pay, I'm talking medical care, because we don't get the same medical care or the same response to medical care, our just medical care, access to C-suite jobs, just recognition for being as talented, as ambitious, as resourceful, as intelligent as everyone else, whether it's male, female, or whatever color. To stop with, again, the angry Black women and woman, and all Black women are on welfare, and, we all have segments that need, again, resources and to be valued. But that's not, the preponderance, given the right set of circumstances, which we need to create. Everybody is productive. So those would be the things I would say.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, let's stay connected.